Dids, you were speaking just off air there about zooming out a little bit.
Yeah, so I think this is something that I think the assumption might be that this is a conversation that needs to happen with newer lifters, but I think the reality is it's something that is worthwhile as a coach, you know, touching base on with someone over time as needed. So the main thought process here is just around being able to zoom out and detaching from the week-to-week fluctuations in performance and looking at the big picture. And the caveat has to be that, of course, training hard, training appropriately hard is important. Like if you want to go anywhere with your training, there's an amount of volume, there's an amount of intensity that needs to be applied for you to actually make progress. Like that has to be the basis. If we're not hitting that and we're expecting progress, we're not going to get progress. However, if we're confident that we're doing that, we need to ensure that we don't have too much of an emotional attachment to those week-to-week changes, because if you have this idea that, you know, the weight on the bar must go up every week, which I think sometimes in our little echo chamber, we forget how much of a prevalent idea that is. There's a lot of people who go to the gym who think they must do more than the previous week in order to be making progress. And if the weight on the bar isn't going up each week, they're not making progress. But when you understand that that's not the case, it's not that it stops you from working hard. It just allows you to stop worrying about the changes week to week and be confident that you're working hard enough and that if you do that over time, you're going to make progress. So it could be someone hits, I'm thinking of a client in mind here. They hit 165 on squats for a single 1 week. Based off that, you know, it moved decently well. Reasonably, they expect that 170 is a goal for next week. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But they come in on the next week, for whatever reason, it's just not moving as well as the previous week. They know not to load 170 because they realize it'll be harder than intended, and then they repeat 165. And then it's very easy, I think, for a lot of people to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I'm plateauing, or maybe things are going wrong. Is it my technique? Is it the program? Is there something that we need to change? When the reality is, chances are that's not the case. Chances are 165 was a appropriate load that created a stimulus last week. 7 days later, that's going to be the case. That doesn't cease to be an appropriate load. Obviously, if 2 years have passed and you're still hitting the same weight for a single, okay, maybe something's wrong. Maybe we have to look at what's happened here. Maybe even a year. But a weight that was appropriate a week ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, chances are, unless you're a beginner, is still at a load that's going to be sufficient to make progress. So if you understand that and if you can detach from that need to see that weight going up on the bar each week, you just come in, you hit what you need to hit. You don't focus exactly too much on what that weight on the bar is, and you're confident that over time you're doing what you need to make progress. And I think it can remove a lot of that anxiety, because when there is anxiety, that's when people start looking elsewhere, thinking, oh, is there something wrong with my setup? Is it my technique? Is it programming? Is it my recovery? When none of those things are actually the problem. It's just, this is training. Training goes up and down. Some days are going to feel better than others, and nothing needs to change. You just need to keep at it, and things should head in the right direction.
And things move, yeah. I think, because obviously, like, when did we start RPE-based training, Charles? What year was that? You're good with years. 2017?
Yeah, I was like, it was straight from the get, because it was when you like got Brett Gibbs.
Yeah.
Bryce Gibbs.
I mixed up.
Bryce Lewis.
Bryce Lewis.
Brett Gibbs. Brett Gibbs was my first. He's my second powerlifting coach.
Footy player.
Yeah.
Brett Gibbs. Bryce Gibbs was the one that played for Carlton back in the day.
Yeah.
Brett Gibbs. You got Brett Gibbs as a coach. I got Bryce.
Yeah, what year was that?
As a coach. 2017. Yeah, I reckon 2017. Because we the Strength Culture opened July of 2016, so it was probably start of 2017ish. Yeah. No, you know what it was? It was actually, because I remember the first comp we did was JPS, April 2017.
Yep.
It was after that. It was somewhere after that. So it would have been mid-year 2017.
I remember when I first signed up as a member, you were in the process of reaching out to Bryce.
So
and that was like September 20.
So it would have been around there, mid-ish there.
Yeah, so let's say 8 years. 8 years we have been completely like
RPE peeled.
Yeah, like we drank the Kool-Aid of RPE and just got swallowed. And like every now and then, like, people would ask me in like my mentoring calls, like in the group ones, about like percentages and like, how would you program percentage? And I actually sometimes, like, to be honest, man, I've got no idea. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start percentages anymore. Like, we are so far out of the percentage world, out of the linear progression world, which is not like forget about it for linear progression, but because oftentimes just using a linear progression model definitely still helps. But like in terms of like the
The application.
The application of majority of our coaching for higher level people is so heavily just RPE and fluctuation based and all of this sort of stuff. Like it can feel a bit difficult to not see it from that perspective, I guess.
But yeah, there still are people who do, and that's all they've ever, that's the only lens. Like every month or two we'll have a client who come in like, oh yeah, you know, all the progress I've done before, they've never been RPE based. It's always been like percentages and like, yeah, once again, outside of our echo chamber, that is still a thing. But we just, I think we forget about that sometimes.
Yeah. How do you communicate that to someone, Dids?
I think
like what are the most important rocks there to take?
I think the first thing is, and obviously it's something we've probably mentioned a bunch of times, is that the whole point of RPE is being able to alter the intensity based off how you're feeling on the day. And, you know, most sessions are going to be decent. Some sessions are going to be shit. Some sessions are going to be amazing. If you come in with a certain plan, you're still going to have a rough, you know, load in mind. But if things are feeling a little bit better, you can take advantage of that. If things are feeling a little bit worse, you might pull things back. And then the idea is we're hunting an intensity as a proximity to failure. We're not hunting a certain percentage or a certain load. Yes, of course, there's still a range we want to be in, but there's that ability to tinker on the day based off how things actually move on the day.
Because I know a big thing that you've done in the past, Charles, is like educate clients around like you should still have a plan though. Like there should still be a target.
I think, and that's what a lot, because what I've also found is when I have had a couple clients that really wanted me to prescribe them loads, they hardly ever stick to the loads anyway because
you can't crystal ball it.
No, exactly. So then they're like, oh, I was feeling a bit shit, so I took 5 kilos, which I tell them to do anyway. But so they end up using a form of RP or auto regulation regardless.
It's the same thing when it comes to like forward planning. Obviously, you know, planning isn't a bad thing, but like because we are in that more reactive approach, and that's always how we've seen it. Like obviously you guys can remember a time maybe coaching a little bit before it. For me, that's definitely all I've known from receiving a program as a lifter standpoint as well as a coach. That's all I've known. So like, you know, how many times will a client say, oh, I'm competing in 3 months. What are some targets you reckon I'll aim for? And like, yeah, we might give them a range, but the honest answer is we'll see. Like, you know, it's going to be a logical extrapolation of what you can train. And yeah, we can give you a rough ballpark, but we'd be lying if we had this exact number in mind. We're going to pick the load based off what happens in training. We're not going to specifically hunt down that number and pretend we actually know what's going to be, because that's just not.
I have given, like someone like John Chadwick, I've given him some ranges to work towards for his reps. So I'm like, aim for this, you know, whatever, 190 to 200 for 5 reps somewhere, just to give him
a bit of
something
structure
to work towards. But again, work towards the end of the block of that. So week 5 or 6. So the way that I used to always do it when I was powerlifting was I would look at what rep ranges I was given. And then I would look and go, all right, I'm doing 5s for deadlifts. By the end of the 6 weeks, I want to be doing 250 for 5, whatever it was. Cool. So week 1, I'll start at 225 to 230. And then that will give me room to progress up. Obviously, always. So that was the plan, the skeleton. And then you use your warm-ups as
your indicators.
So the plan might be to go 225 for 5 week 1, but that was actually really easy. So we ended up going 232 and a half or whatever it is. And that's how I would, that's how I instruct people, and that's how I did it back then.
Yeah. So you got a little bit of a plan,
but still auto-regulating as you go. And then what I think as well, one thing that Didier was talking about, what is the PRs that you do get is the previous 3 months, 6 months of work that you have done as well. Like it's simmering under this. It's the James Clear, the melting water, the melting ice.
And if you understand that,
what?
All the shit that you're doing, you don't see the changes, but every 1 degree of change is starting to melt the ice, but you don't see the ice melt.
The ice hasn't actually melted yet
until there's that specific degree change,
and then it just goes,
and then it melts,
and then that's your.
But it didn't melt because of what happened yesterday. It melted because of
the progressive degree changes for the last 20 degrees.
Yeah,
that's just his analogy of habits, and I look at training.
And if you can actually understand that, because straight away, it comes back to the thinking something's wrong and wanting to find a solution. The reality is, if right now your numbers aren't where you want them to be, chances are it's things that might not have gone to plan 3 or 6 months ago. It's not because of this week. It's not because of last week. It's not even because of this block for the most part. Obviously, there are some things you can do within a block that don't allow you to express your progress, but you didn't make the progress this block. If you feel really strong now, well done for pushing hard 3 to 6 months ago. Like that's where it's at. So the work you're doing now is to facilitate the future progress. And I think a great example of this is myself. How many times has this happened with clients? They'll be going through a block, they're not hitting PBs, things are feeling harder than they wanted to, they just feel like they're kind of repeating loads, they're repeating PBs they've hit in the past, gets to the end of the block and then they hit a PB. And I think it's so easy to forget that. I remember 3-4 weeks ago, remember 6 weeks ago when you felt like things were going shit, you thought we needed to change something, you thought things weren't going well, but then the training that seemed like a bit of a slog actually facilitated the progress that you had. Like it's very, obviously there's some miracle blocks where everything goes to plan, but most blocks are just kind of whatever. Some are shit, some are amazing, but most of the time they're average. Yet you can still. That is what actually creates progress. Like that's just how it is.
How do you know when you've got the training stimulus right?
I think there's obviously some ballparks of volume intensity that we want to stick to, and then so that's the first thing. Like there's general ranges of sets per week or RPEs that we want to be in, and then the longer you work with someone, I think we can start to develop how much volume and how much intensity they need in order to see progress. So for example, if you know that someone has done well with 3 times a week benching, and then for whatever reason, maybe it's different priorities, availability, they're benching once a week, it's not to say that they won't make progress, but we're going to be less confident than progress is going to be seen, knowing that has been what's been successful in the past. So that's what I look to. Like, has this person tended to do better with a high volume approach, a low volume approach? Like for myself, I've always done well with fairly low volume, fairly low intensity deadlifting. So doing that for me, I don't see as an issue. Whereas with maybe my bench, I know I do need that extra volume to really see a progress. So if I'm not doing a high volume approach, I'm going to be less confident that the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to be seeing the progress.
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest part where individualize, because you made a post today on the main page about Amy, shouts out Amy.
Shouts out.
Who's done really well under Coach Did's tutelage, about that individualization is like this process that you develop. Do you want to lean into that a bit?
Well, it's essentially everything that Didier just said. It's working with someone for a longer period of time. It's the fine tuning along the way where you get to know just what you respond well to. For me, personally, it's looking at that bigger scale, that those 3 months or 3 blocks, whatever it is, probably even longer than that, where you're seeing those averages shift up. Whether that's weight, whether that's RPEs, like things are feeling easier, things are obviously objectively that are heavier for longer and more consistently over time. Like that's the target. That is the goal objectively at the end of the day, is like moving those trends upwards on the continuum or on the scale. Like even when people tend to zoom in or look at their training and they've seen like a little bit of a dip, whether that's like, I don't know, 10 kilos on one of their lifts, that I still wouldn't call that like a decline in performance or
like a red flag.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a red flag at all. It's just a fluctuation of training. It's something that you got to really ride the wave with it.
And I think the key there is like if there's one session where you'd have 10 kilos less weight on the bar than normal, that's one session that you've had 10 kilos less. If there's 2 months where
if it
you
goes
just
on
can't
for 5
get past
weeks,
that, you just can't, you're consistently 10 kilos under what's a normal range for you. Okay, what's wrong? We're doing too much, we're doing too little, recovery, nutrition, like program layout. Then there's a problem that needs to be fixed, but we need to make sure we don't try fixing problems that aren't even there and then changing an approach that otherwise would have worked if we just stayed the course. Like,
and I think something else to add on to that as well is like when you are identifying these things or having a look into these things, is not just like throw the baby out with the bathwater completely. Like, this isn't working, I'm going to just try something else now. Like, I know we're going through something similar with Talia where the jumps haven't felt quite right for her, and they've been sort of feeling a bit shit with her deadlifts as well and her lower back. So instead of just completely taking out the jumps, we're just scaling back the jumps to see if that improves anything, just the intensity of it.
Oh, when you say jumps, like plyometrics or something?
Yeah. She's doing a bit of that. She's an athlete, so
fucking oath. Shouts out.
So yeah, that was something that was concerning to her because obviously deadlifting was something that she really enjoys, and jumps were a newer thing in her program. So obviously the eyes are on the jumps because they're a newer thing into the program. So instead of just completely scrapping that, I still think it's a quality worthwhile pursuing, since it's something that's important for our sport. So instead of just throwing that out, we'll just scale that back and see how she responds to that, and then just eventually build up back into that. Like, we don't want to avoid doing all that, because then we're just ignoring something that's just
absolutely
popped up.
You're turning your back on it. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. So,
great analogy.
And I think with all of this as well, like, there's no denying that for this to work, there needs to be trust between lifter and coach. Because if you've just started with a coach and they seem all right, but you haven't really done enough with them to be confident they're going to get you good progress. Fair enough if you don't trust the system. But like, if you've been there a while, you've been able to make a significant amount of progress, but it feels like a bit of a lull period, you're more likely to stay the course and ride it out and trust that in times things will sort themselves out. Whereas in those early phases, like, you might need a bit of convincing, which is fair enough, which is, where communication and all that type of stuff definitely comes in. Yeah. But as good as the communication be, like, I think you're less likely to want to ride things out early on, because you want to ensure that you're doing what's going to work for you.
Yeah. Zoom out. Open up the lens, the vantage. Charles, how'd you go at the comps? You had a couple comps in the last couple of weeks. Had an APL comp. Was that at Apex?
Apex, yeah.
Apex. APL, I think, is there any difference there that they use a deadlift bar? Are they walking out squats, or are they in a mono?
APL walkout squats.
They walk it out, yeah.
And the stiff sleeves.
And I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, the stiff sleeve.
I'm not entirely sure how the tested, non-tested thing works, because it was both tested and non-tested
in the same sessions.
I think they just get labelled as guests.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Who's a guest?
Obviously,
the guests are the untested.
Yeah,
wow.
I wasn't entirely sure how that worked. But anyway, obviously Michael, the lift is
natural.
Just but
a high test individual though.
High test.
Naturally,
there were
naturally high test.
Naturally high test.
There were some untested, and it was just a different experience.
Yep.
It was good. The warm up room was busy.
Yep.
It was busy. It was I noticed there was a lot of people back there.
They just opened the flood.
Yeah, just like one of those ones.
Yeah.
Like, there was a few extra people, but that's all right. It was
plenty of helpers.
Plenty of helpers.
Yeah.
That was good. So I had Michael's pretty chill.
And this was 2 weeks ago?
This is last Sunday. So
Sunday.
9 days ago. So pretty chill, because it's just him. And also, I've coached Michael now for
5 years, I reckon.
5 years. And we get on well. We got a lot of similar interests and shit. So, it was pretty chill. Yeah, footy mate.
Footy mate hybrid.
We just, it was nice and chill coaching him. He did well. He got 180 squat, which was a PR. 130 bench, which is what he wanted, which was the goal. We actually took that on the second, and he got that, and then failed 132.5. But he was fine with that, because that was what he wanted, 130.
Just strength on the miss?
Yeah, just fucking too heavy.
Too heavy. Gravity.
And then deadlifted 227.5 on the Texas, whippy bar.
The whippy, the noodle.
Just a whippy.
He was happy with his performance. And it was like pretty straightforward day.
The thing I love about Michael is he
stoic.
Yeah, but he lets his interest just like, I want to do some powerlifting, and then I'm going to do a marathon. I'm going to do it's good.
Yeah, he's
the pursuit of performance is not just like this narrowed idea. Yeah,
and that's why I think, like, me and him also, we're very similar in that. The way he looks at training is very similar to how I look at training. That's why we get on quite well. And
zooming back to the previous discussion, Michael is a A+ example of rolling with the punches, looking at the big picture, pushing hard, but also understanding that it's a process, and just staying the course, and it shows.
Yeah, like he did the Melbourne Marathon last year, so he went full runner. He's actually took a break from running in the comp block. He didn't want to run. He's like, I just want to really hone in on the lifting. So now he's going to be back to running twice a week. But again, nothing crazy. He's probably going to 10 to 15K a week of running, nothing too crazy. But just, again,
2 runs,
just some baseline fitness there. And he'll have one day of intervals, one day a little bit longer, somewhere between a 5 and 10K run. So I think he'll be happy with that.
Just tick it over, tick the legs.
Yeah, well, I think it's like, even just from like, doing 10 to 15Ks of running a week, which would accumulate to probably, 90 minutes, 2 hours, somewhere around there. It's just like, conditioning, base level conditioning, which probably most people should be doing.
Absolutely.
An hour to 90 minutes a week of some form of cardio. And so that was that comp. And then Saturday morning had JPS APA comp. First one that I've coached at. It was obviously
When's the sleeve
much
change
the
happen?
same.
August.
Apparently they're
15th.
retracting it now. Someone said they're retracting it.
Oh, rumors. I don't know.
man.
We'll see.
It's the tariff war all over again. Tariffs are in, tariffs are out.
Someone told me they're retracting it.
Fuck you, your tariffs are up. Now they're down.
All right. We'll see.
What is going on here? Who said they were retracting it?
Someone told me in the gym there that maybe it was Michael.
All right.
Was it Michael? I can't remember.
Whispers.
We'll see it on social soon if it comes out.
I do.
You didn't hear it here. You did not hear that. Yeah, don't throw us under the bus. We've got no idea.
Official statement.
I do feel sorry for people. That spend the money on that
100%.
shit.
Fucking
No
oath,
doubt.
man.
Because
No
I just
doubt.
yeah.
I agree with Didier. If you're going to make the change, make it at the start of the calendar or the start of the
That's
season.
what he did with bench depth. It was as of next year.
Yeah,
Let
like
people know. Anyway,
bringing it in mid-season with like what? Like
Yeah, it's
not
all-
a good
August.
call.
Like, it's just yeah.
as a standalone decision to change it, annoying as fuck. But then also bring it in mid-year. People are halfway through their comp calendars. Like what? What are we doing here?
Yeah,
what are we
it
doing?
should
here?
have been next year.
If you're gonna do it,
yeah.
at
Fresh-
least let
January
the,
1st.
at least let the year ride out.
So dogs.
I wonder when they did it with the Thorpe suits, the torpedo suits.
do you reckon that was as
Yeah, middle of the year.
effective
Middle
immediately
of the-
sort of thing?
Post world champs, these are out.
What Olympics was that at? 08?
I reckon 2000 wasn't it?
Nah.
It was earlier than 08. I reckon 2004.
I reckon it was 00.
It would have been early days.
Nah, it wasn't 00.
That wasn't that the Australian one?
When
That was
did-
Sydney.
Yeah, GPT. When did
Talk to it
the
nice.
Yeah,
super
please and thanks.
swimsuits super swimsuits
Where is
They
my
got banned.
super suit?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
get banned?
Where are my super sleeves?
Yeah, January 1st, 2010, 08 Olympics.
Okay.
2010.
Okay.
I don't fucking fuck
Okay,
my dates
come on,
up.
yeah,
I don't
don't-
fucking
We should never have doubted him.
Charlie's dates
Charlie
are
and dates.
rock
Dates,
solid,
man.
boys.
That's late.
It was the Beijing Olympics. I remember because
Post-Beijing.
it wasn't 04 because that was
Athens.
and I remember
You love Athens.
I love it. I remember remembering. Like I remember being I remember being old enough to like remember it, like a teenager, whereas 04 was 12. 00 was too young.
12, you wouldn't have given a fuck. Yeah.
I wouldn't have given a fuck about swimsuits. Whereas
At 16,
16,
I'm starting to give a fuck about swimsuits.
I don't give a fuck about sport performance of athletes.
I'm starting to give a fuck about
The goings
Thorpies. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 130 world records was shattered in 08, 09 alone, and then 2010 they banned it. So
There was another thing I learned about swimming pools. We'll come back to the other comp,
yeah, we'll
but
come back to the other comp.
the way in which the water laps over the edge of the swimming pools
changes
how
drag
fast
and shit.
people swim in them.
Wasn't that a thing
Really?
in Paris? Weren't they saying the pool was a bit different?
I don't know, but something to do with how the water leaves the pool
Yeah,
can
'cause
change the way that you.
Is it the amount of
That's
waves that
insane.
get created?
I think it's the amount of pushback of the water or something.
They say that you can. I've heard them say things like the pool's really fast.
yeah.
Who's them?
Swimmers. Use them. Fucking
The fish.
I've heard
Charlie sitting on the couch.
podiatrists.
That's a fucking.
Yeah, they always say talk about the speed
That's a
of the
fast
swimming
pool.
Like I've heard them saying like the pool's really fast. and
Yeah.
Have you
whatnot.
scouted out any?
What do you mean?
Fast
Any
pools.
fast pools?
Go break some
I
records.
haven't,
Are you
no.
still swimming?
I've been a couple times since
Yeah.
Thingo, but I find it's fucking. I do enjoy it. I do want to get.
Hard without the goal.
It's hard without the goal. Well, once a week, even but it is hard without the goal. But you gotta love it.
Running's so easy. You just chuck the shoes on and go.
It is a lot easier.
Less logistics.
Yeah.
It is a lot easier.
Tell you what, I bought those breathable shirts for running.
Sorted
Dids.
you out?
Changed my life, man.
Can't run in cotton.
I was running
Yeah.
around in cotton. I was like,
In the early-
I finished the set
Yeah,
like
dripping
a
wet.
20, 25 minute, 30-minute run, whatever it is, like saturated.
In the early days, I was adamant that I wouldn't buy a running shirt. Mark Segreca told me, "Trust me, you will." He was right. I bought it. It's way better. I've never gone back.
Uniqlo got some good ones.
Fucking earth.
Uniqlo, do they? All right.
Yeah, I got one of them.
Are they the right length though? I struggle with the Uniqlo shirts. They're a bit short for me.
They're
No,
great for me.
the running ones are not. You're talking about the plain, the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're longer. They're not like those
All
ones.
right, might sus.
You make it a crop top. It's fashionable. these
Cut the
days.
crop. Yeah, the midriff. Get the midriff out.
Fast pools. I reckon the M-SAC pool would probably be our fastest one in Australia, in Victoria.
I think so. The professional ones.
That's where they held the 06 Commonwealth Games.
True.
That one. The
06.
outdoors ones.
Oh, it was 6.
We were meant to have the Commonwealth Games, weren't we, this year? And Dan Andrews.
I think they were meant to be like Country Victoria or something.
Over budget.
Dan,
Yeah.
I think we had confirmed it. I remember speaking to Connor about this. We had confirmed it because his sister was in it. And then they pulled it. So it was all happening. And then they pulled it like near the end or something.
When is it? It's meant to be this
So
year.
where are they instead?
I don't think anyone
No, it
took
wouldn't
them.
be this year. It would be next year.
No,
it's
isn't
2
it
years
happening
apart
in
from
Tasmania, maybe?
the Olympics.
What year are we in?
Is it?
2025.
I
It's
don't know.
next year, 2026. Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't think it's Tasmania. No.
I don't know. I don't think Australia's taking it at all. No.
It's not Tasmania.
Yeah.
Tasmania's trying to fucking get their footy team up and running. They need to build a stadium.
When's that meant to happen?
2028 they come into the league, but there's still no stadium being built. So.
Tassie Devils.
So what happens there, Charles?
Well, they got grounds to play at, but I think they wanted a new
fans.
fucking stadium with a
Grandstand.
roof and shit.
A roof.
That will be a good.
Team?
Well, just because history already there.
Yeah.
It's not like those other two, GWS and Gold Coast that were starting from nothing in non-footy states, whereas Tasmania is a footy state.
Why did they not go Tassie first?
Trying to expand the game?
Just take market share off NRL maybe.
Trying, yeah, probably.
Probably.
That would
Man,
be
I
my
watched a game of
presumption.
NRL the other week. I watched
Yeah,
a
which one?
quarter of the St Kilda Adelaide game
Yeah, that was shit.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was dog
watched a
shit.
quarter.
Yeah.
Dog shit.
Yeah, dog shit.
And then switched it over to the
Who
NRL.
was playing?
Melbourne Storm, and Melbourne Storm fucking pantsed them.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was though. And there was just try after try after line breaks. It's
Yeah.
like constant. I was like, this is mad.
They're good. Storm are always good. They're just there. It's fucked.
Craig Bellamy, mate.
10 grand finals in like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's actually fucked. It's one every 2 years. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, Penrith have full dropped off.
They're 4 in a row though, aren't they?
What do you mean?
They've won 4
They
in a
won
row.
four premierships in a row.
Like
but this
that
year,
as
this
in
year
and
they're
of
full.
itself is
And now they're
wild.
full. Like this year, they're down the bottom. So
Yeah.
No,
I was ripping into Brendan about just stirring you, and he's like,
So they're done. They've completely zapped.
I was like, Brendan, you literally have the best argument ever. You can literally just say we're going to four-peat. Like,
Yeah,
fuck
we're,
it.
we're,
He was like, oh, it's a
we're
long
bored of
season.
winning.
Like,
We're sick of winning. You want to see what all the bums down the bottom are like? What's it like down here?
but they're just.
What is it? The hedonic staircase? You're no longer motivated
That's
by it.
it.
And you do the opposite.
That's it.
I
Yeah,
haven't heard of that.
yeah.
Hedonic staircase.
They've just done the hedonic ladder down the bottom.
That's it.
Everything in life
band
is
at the top.
hedonic.
Yeah,
It's true.
Buy a new car, hedonic reset.
yeah.
Buy a house, hedonic reset. You get that promotion at work, hedonic reset. Should we go through what hedonic reset is for the people?
Well, we can.
Yeah.
James George, do you know what
let's
the
jump in.
do you know
I
what
have no
hedonism
fucking
is?
clue.
I learned about hedonism at the UEBC. Remember we went?
That's where I learnt about
Mike
it.
Israetel. Mike
That's-
Israetel had
but
done something-
in the crux of dieting, but it's the same application for life.
So hang on. The dieting application is that even so it applies to both cutting and bulking. Although I don't think bulking is the correct term to use anymore, but cutting and
what's the
bulking.
Massing.
correct term?
Apparently, apparently it's not bulking. It's got connotations. I'm not sure, but
So what's the term? Massing.
massing maybe weight gain
Building
phase,
phase.
building phase. I don't know. We digress. So, like your motivation. So, even in a bulking phase, your motivation to continue to eat and to continue to feel like you have to stuff yourself and to have all this food and all of this over time, like the motivation to continue to do it is just like pulling back
Yeah.
to a point where like you mentally can't do it anymore. You don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Like you want, and then you start to go, oh fuck, I should cut and do, and you start getting motivated and driven towards the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
That's basically what hedonism is. What's the hedon? So like in life, like you could be,
Hedonic reset is
they call it like
Alright,
a treadmill.
You know what's a really good example? When we're in lockdowns. Remember how good it was when we got let out of lockdowns for whatever, even for like those 3 week and you'd go to dinner with your friends and it was like the most fucking exciting thing you'd ever experienced. Now we go to dinner every weekend or whatever and it's just like,
It's
normal.
like, ah, fuck.
That's hedonic reset.
gotta leave the house.
No, but that's hedonic reset. So like buying a new car, someone buys a new car or a new pair of shoes for that week. You're like, this is man, I love my shoes. And then after a month, they're just shoes.
They're just shoes.
And 6 months later, they're fucking trashed and you wear them and you're like, whatever. Like everything resets. And that's why I don't know. I'm not a very materialistic person. And I feel like that's one of the reasons is because I know
Because
that-
you're aware of that feeling.
I just know that everything just fucking that shit's not gonna last.
Yeah.
Everything like the big promotion at work, the big fucking week of making money at work, or it all just resets. It doesn't like it's not a lasting feeling for. I don't know. Maybe
The peak of the feeling is a peak, and it does
drop off, and it's like a more stoic look on life, but trying to find meaning and in the smaller things like connection with friends and your partner and
Well, those are the things that are ultimately going to, I think, have more of a lasting impact on you over time. Like they're going to carry their weight a little bit longer than some of the more fleeting things.
Yes.
James, you always got something.
There's two main types. There's psychological hedonism and there's ethical hedonism. So it's the philosophical idea that the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain are the most important goals in life. Psychological hedonism, people are naturally driven to seek pleasure and avoid pain in everything they do. Ethical hedonism, people should aim to maximize pleasure because it's the highest good or moral goal. So it's just indulgence, really.
But read that ethical one again.
People should aim to maximize pleasure because it's the highest good or moral goal.
Well, because then the question there would be if there's a moral argument and there's two paths to go down, someone who is an ethical hedonist would look at it through that lens, and whichever option maximizes pleasure would be the option. Whereas I think it's, it doesn't take much to realize that's not always the best way. I mean, some people might disagree, but I'd say that's not the best way to always view things, because there's more to life than maximizing pleasure. Like sometimes there's other things that are worthwhile.
I've got that. This is put it into better words than I was fucking saying. We adapt quickly to pleasurable things.
That's the reason.
And they no longer become pleasurable.
Buying. Yeah. I just keep using the new car. Buying the new car.
Yeah.
You get it. Fucking amazing, blah, blah. But again,
I'm going to keep this thing clean.
After 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 months, it's just
there's some time after which it wears off.
It's just a car.
Because I actually went through it when we bought our house 3.5 years ago. I found myself, so honestly, big high by the house, mad. Oh, we fucking bought a house, whatever. Me and Deuce together. Again, a month. I can't remember specifics, but a month later, you reset. You're like, well, you got that. You're living in it. It's just life just resets. It's now, this is just the normality. And already you're thinking about the next one. You're like, the next one's going to be bigger. It's going to have this big. It's going to have 2 living rooms. It's going to have a bigger backyard. Nice out. And then I was like, but if you live life like that, you never actually enjoy
the power of now.
The power of now.
The power of
you
now.
never actually enjoy what you've got now.
Or you never stop hunting you never stop trying to climb that staircase, but then the thing you need is harder to reach or bigger because you're just chasing the next high.
You're never happy. And I listened to Mo Gordat on the Diary of a CEO, and he goes, we spend most of life planning for the future. Everything's about planning for the future and forgetting to actually live now in the moment. So like, I don't know. I find this is a really big thing today. A lot of people, and it's all about, not everyone, but a lot of people, there's like, they want to build fucking things. They're like, no, I'll work hard now so I can live later. And it's like, you're not even guaranteed to get to later.
All we have is the present moment.
You might die.
Monument.
But like,
That was a fleeting moment.
We'll never get that monument back.
You'll never get that monument.
Well, I remember shouts out
Mike Israel for introducing
Mr.
us.
Pandusis, the quote. Things only happen once in life. That really stuck with me. You hear like that, but in that specific wording, that really hit me because you mentioned it at your engagement.
I mentioned the engagement, and I did say it again at the wedding as well because, like for example, was a really good way. It was that holiday that we went on, that first one in 2023. I didn't want to go into the next holiday when we went back to get married and comparing and like because it's just not going to be the same because that 2023 one was like the first big one we did after COVID. There's a lot of things that made it extra special. It was like Deuce and I's first big one traveling together. COVID being hadn't really gone overseas for 6 years at that point. A lot of things that had made it extra special. Same way that going out to a dinner when we'd been in lockdown for 6 months was like
a big change,
extra special. But yeah, anyway, Hedonic Reset.
Hedonic Reset.
But yeah, I there's nothing wrong with I think I don't know. You probably talk about the grind culture.
I'll go through phases with it.
You go through phases. You got more that type A personality. I don't. I know I'm a fucking I know I'm not like that. But yeah, there's certain I feel like it's like grind now, grind. Yeah, I don't know.
But see, I think part of it as well is definitely not being a grind set sort
You're
of
not
person.
grind set either.
I'm not. But the thing is, you and me can look through our lens and we see a path that makes sense to us. But because of upbringing, circumstance, who even knows, like genetics, blah, 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 someone else could look through that lens and say, fuck that. And genuinely, there's a lens to look through which we wouldn't want to look through that actually looks great for them. So we can sit here and say that, but some people genuinely probably do find fulfillment in lifestyles, pursuits that you and I will be like, man, what are you doing? Like, there's way better ways to spend your life. But people are different.
It's all just values.
I do
Values,
understand that.
values.
And that. So my issue, I think sometimes with that toxic grind set shit is that people will I've seen that it's almost shaming people that you're not like this. Like, you know, you can fit more in your day. You could structure, you could do this, you could do that. Like, and it's like that. And like you said, it's fine if that's what drives you and that's your purpose and whatever. But for like, if you and I tried to do that, we'd be miserable.
Correct. But it goes both ways. It's people of who see it through our lens could then shame other people for living a life that we deem as not fit. But once again, everyone's different.
Everyone's different. Everyone's motivated by different things.
That's it. And then when the AI takes over, none of it will matter anyway.
We're all fucked anyway.
So be nice to the AI.
The more the thing with AI that really
be nice to it. You
You
got to
seen this dire wolves thing as well?
Yeah, that's crazy.
they've transformed wolves.
Yeah.
They used the
into dire
DNA from bone from the dire wolves have been extinct for 11,000, 12,000 years.
Yeah, in that period,
And
Charles. In that period,
The younger Dryas.
youngest driest period.
The younger Dryas.
Mate,
It all
that
comes
thing-
back.
It all comes back to that
Nah,
fucking
you need to
period,
watch
man.
Ancient Apocalypse
Graham
on
Hancock.
Netflix by Graham Hancock.
Okay.
Man, this is the all-time. It's not even a conspiracy at this point. Like, there's just so much mounting evidence that there's
Something happened
Something
about
happened.
11,400 years ago. Something happened. I don't know, but something.
Couple of
So
meteors.
he still gets a lot of from like a
Traditional-
lot of
yeah.
traditional mainstream
Mainstream.
archaeology, whatever it is. But I don't know. I struggle to
have you not been exposed to that idea, younger Dryas? Do you know who Graham Hancock is?
No.
Oh man,
Netflix.
you've got some great
Netflix.
learning to do.
Great.
I would love to be in your position and learn it all again. It is crazy,
to be
man.
pre-younger Dryas.
Oh, yeah, to be that red pill, younger Dryas
They
pill.
talk about the leap years in there as well.
do they?
Unbelievable learning you're
Younger
about
Dryas.
to undergo.
Don't look up younger Dryas. Listen to Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan.
Just watch
from
just
like
watch the
10 years
series.
ago.
10 years ago. He's been on it like 4 or 5
Just
times.
watch the Netflix
and then watch
series.
the
It's all there.
Netflix series. And then if you really want to go, you can listen to Fingerprints of the Gods.
Fingerprints of the Gods.
That's his
Is
book.
that his-
That's
is that
his
his
first
book?
book, and then he wrote Magicians of the Gods.
Shit, man.
Man, some
But like
great
even
learning.
fucking man, because there was some things I learnt about in that show, like the Derinkuyu caves, the cave
Underground cave system, yeah.
underground cave system, Serpent Mound.
Yep.
Obviously there's Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe.
I really want to go to Göbekli
I did
Tepe.
see, oh no, not Mr. Beast, the other cunts. Yes Theory, they went to Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, really?
They had Graham Hancock on.
That's mad.
When they went there,
They had Graham Hancock on their show.
Wow.
Like they're fucking those.
they're
cunts.
big though. They got like 12 million subs now or something. They're massive.
They're doing good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. If I had to be a YouTuber, I'd be more. I'd feel like I'd like more like what they.
That's your
do
direction.
than what Mr. Beast is. Because I feel like Mr. Beast, he's like when he's it's like constant like innovate ideas. Like how do we make this better?
Well, they would be doing the same thing, but just within their own world.
It's a bit more like
Yeah.
travel focused and like
Once again, different lenses, different
lenses.
different values.
Motivated by different things.
I'm not going to be doing what they do, man. So fucking
Charlie's Travel Channel. We're down here in Göbekli Tepe.
that would be cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt.
They've gone everywhere.
They've
man.
lived lives that so few people in human history have ever. Like the amount they've seen, the amount of just like niche places they've gone.
My favorite episode of them is when they go to the most northern town
in
Alaska, maybe.
Alaska? Yeah,
It's basically the North Pole, but like how the community lives. Like they catch a whale and they bring the whale on,
amazing.
and then they like cut the whale.
They live off whales basically.
You're not allowed to sell whales because of all the whaling stuff. But so they have to cut it up and like distribute it amongst the community. And like there's like a huge like community celebration when someone catches a whale because everyone's fed for like 6 months. Like it's a crazy and wild. Like I watched that and I was like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever.
That was a really cool episode.
They went to another place. It was a small island. I can't remember where it is now. But just the community vibe, like how they live with like minimal phones and the community and how they all like. And it's like, fuck. You kind of wish because we are. I feel like in the West we are a little bit. We're segregated.
Do you reckon they get hedonistic?
What?
We're connected digitally, but
just like-
segregated physically.
We are. We're just like I don't know. It's very like not
Well, yeah,
really
'cause
community
most
anymore.
of most of history and the way these people still live is how most people have lived in history. You live in your
Small community.
tribe or clan. Like your connection to your brother, your cousin, your second cousin, your neighbor is very strong, and that's your sense of what the world is and who you are. Whereas in modern society, in urban environments, we are a bit more spread out. So it's more like the nuclear family versus like the extended family. Like someone in that instance, for them, their third cousin would basically be their brother. Like to them, like if something happened to them, it would mean, for us, like the reality is a lot of us maybe don't see our cousins as much, or our second cousins probably don't even know.
I don't even know what a third cousin
there's
is.
not even like, there's less of that connection. And yeah, we more see ourselves as citizens of Australia, and that's our identity. For us, them, to be part of their smaller clan or tribe, or whatever you call it, is who they are. Like they are let's say a Vasul, if that's the surname. Whereas we don't necessarily see ourselves as that. We see ourselves as, I'm a person in Australia and that's my place in the world.
Yeah.
Yes. Australia.
But I think that the desire for that's within us all. It's just in a relatively short period of time, we've been removed from
We
that.
lost
But then,
it all.
Surprise, surprise. Like, there are some issues that come with modern life. Obviously, if I had to pick, I wouldn't choose to live anywhere else. But there's issues that come as a result of that, because there's a thing that's natural for humans to experience that
Connection.
connection. We don't
Identity and belonging, Charles. Remember writing essays around that in year 12?
I remember Teal.
Teal.
Talk about Teal.
I remember, yeah. I don't know, it's hard. Fucking community.
What is a topic? Evidence analysis.
Topic explanation, evidence link.
Where'd you get the analysis
TEE.
from? TEE.
Oh, I thought it was TEA.
Maybe they changed it.
I
by the
think
time
there
we
is a
were at school.
TEA version, but yeah.
Well, there you go. I didn't know.
That might be a less scientific one.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah.
But it was
More
topic,
in-depth.
explanation, evidence, link.
Link.
That's the next
Link.
thing.
And you can't start
Community.
sentences with
Community.
and.
We need community
No.
Community.
and
Hedonic Reset and community.
Yeah. Well, shouts out fucking Mike Israel and the UEBC for getting us to.
There's so many cool little topics like that though, because like even listening to Modern Wisdom, like they talk about so much cool shit,
there's a lot out there. There's a lot to learn.
like philosophy, because they're very philosophy.
Well, it's very much philosophical sort of ideas.
like even when I
yeah.
got exposed to Stoicism for the first time, like
The Daily Stoic. I remember reading that book.
So what's his name? I forgot his name. He's got the Daily Stoic channel on YouTube. I forgot his name.
We
Rob
had that book-
Holiday.
Yeah, we had that book
Something
on the
Holiday?
on the coffee table at the old gym.
The Daily Stoic.
Pick it up, read a page,
Stoicism.
feel better about yourself, and walk on.
Daily.
That's it. Daily Stoic.
You do that daily, and you're
You'll be stoic.
You'll be
fucking well on your way.
Stoic.
You're well on your way. All right, Charles, go to your APA comp.
APA comp.
Oh, fuck.
How did we get onto that?
Hedonism, JPS, UABC.
Here we boom.
I don't know, motivations.
It's also like a really good example of hedonism is why I feel people stop powerlifting.
Yeah, because it gets hard.
The high that you experience the first 1, 2, 3 comps of hitting PRs, progression,
The first hurdle.
starts
the first hurdle.
to slow down with any athletic endeavor. Starts to slow down, and the gratification, instant gratification, is a lot longer. It's a lot longer withdrawn between, and people start to.
I remember
Hedonic reset.
years ago, probably like 2017 or something like that. JP Kauki made a post or a YouTube video saying like, if you never hit a PB again,
Would you keep
would you
lifting?
continue lifting? I think at the time I was a bit like, I don't know. But I think I'm at the point now where I would, because as much as, I do care about hitting PBs, I am driven by that. I just enjoy
Process.
the process, but just the more like, just the physical process of training, like the experience of training. I enjoy exerting myself, and I enjoy how that makes me feel. There is obviously some progression attached to that, but like, if for whatever reason, hypothetical, the numbers ever went up, I'd still think I'd get something out of the physical experience of a training session, pushing yourself at the end of it, having that sense of satisfaction of I just pushed hard. And like, so but if you don't have that, you'll either keep getting better and keep chasing the gratification, or they'll reach a point where the gratification stops, or there's enough of a gap between the gratification, because that always happens, to where you stop lifting. And insert any other endeavor that people do or end up
I
stopping,
feel the
like-
same with the footy when I go to the footy. So because St Kilda, shit, we've had terrible history. I think we're one of the worst clubs in the fucking world. I've been around for 150 years and won one premiership. Anyway,
Get on the hedonistic treadmill and fucking experience the other side. Come on, what are we doing?
Anyway, so you often get the like, why do you bother? Like, fucking, they're never going to win. Whatever.
But that's the journey.
That's the journey. No, that is the journey. But
You're the lifter that's waited 70 years for a PR.
70 years for PR. No, but the point is, it's similar to what JB said, because I was the same with JP. It was like, back then I was like, what do you mean you never hit a PR? Like, why would you keep?
Of course
lifting?
you wouldn't.
But
Yeah.
it's the same with like, if we were never to win one, would I still continue to follow the team? And it was like, yes, because I enjoy it. I enjoy like when I go to the footy with my dad and my brother and we have beers, and it's not just the watching of the sport I enjoy. It's the
whole package.
Yeah, and then even if a team does win a thing, like my Premier League team's about to win the league now, and
shouts out, Charles. Well
Liverpool,
done.
fucking yeah.
Clap around.
Charles had a big part to play.
Who's that?
From
Chelsea?
Liverpool. From
YNWA.
had a big part to play here, watching fucking the games on my phone in bed. Anyway, they're gonna win, and it's great. It's wrapped up now. It's pretty much wrapped up. It's great, but it's like. It's just that's the little fucking it is the journey. And I'm using that as an example, but it's like you enjoy the process of things and the fucking the day to day.
The process is what it is.
Because the little highs of say a PR only are really a fleeting moment, split second. This is tied in well to what we were talking about.
It actually has.
But even if your team wins a fucking grand final or whatever, a final, it is just a fleeting moment. It's 1 or 2 days of
I played
and then it
basketball.
resets.
I played basketball from the age of like 6 to 19. Something like that. I won one premiership the whole time, but I still played because obviously, we wanted to win, but the fact that we didn't, at some point I would have been 10 years between me winning a premiership, but like, or grand final, not premiership, they call them grand final in basketball, but either way, 10 years post last, win, at no point was I like, I don't enjoy this. Like it was still a worthwhile, and I don't look back on that as a waste of 12 years because we won once. It was the fact that it was challenging. It's because, it's like there would have been so many times where as a team, we could have tanked to go to a lower grade and probably won. But like, that's not the point. The point is that it is challenging. And like, would I maybe have been a bit more happy at the time if we had won a bit more? Of course, but that didn't mean it wasn't a worthwhile endeavor. And then I don't look back on it with a lot of, like a lot of good memories and whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
Enjoyment, fulfillment, the camaraderie, the journey, like all that.
100%. And that's why, like I sometimes think these things like looking through life through these is a shallow view, like of just focusing on life when successful things happen.
It's a highlight reel. It's
like don't live for the highlight reel. Life happens
between the highlight reels.
Yeah. Don't live for the highlight reel.
Fuck, we have fucking...
That was deep.
Anyway, let's go to the APA comp. So APA comp, the boys, it was good. I had a really good time coaching on Saturday morning.
Who'd we have? Aaron Valor? JVB. Shouts out JVB.
Jordan Van Buren.
I heard you want to get in on these sports chats, JVP.
I heard you got a fact chats.
Yeah, we need a fact checker here. Apparently we're talking shit about the basketball.
and Trent Kennedy.
Trent Kennedy. I love JVB.
So we'll start with Aaron first because he did have a back issue. He was seeing Dan downstairs for it. So wasn't able to lift to his full capacity. Said he would like to do another one now because he feels like he fucking, just a few stones unturned there. But all in all, with the hiccups that we had, he had a really good day in the end.
Because he was about to pull out like 2-3 weeks prior, wasn't he?
I've got here... I cannot remember what the squat ended up with because it was one... I've got here one... I'm pretty sure he ended up with 170.
Aaron Vella, 170.
It was 170.
Yep.
But it moved really well and could have had more. But again, we were conservative because of the back. His bench ended up with 85, which was his equal. He'd done that in the gym, but not really with a pause. So he was quite happy with that. His bench has been a fucking slow. He's had some nerve
He's got neurological stuff.
And he couldn't bench even 40 kilos when he first started. So again, for him, 85, he knows it's not the world's biggest bench. But for him, he's stoked with the progress. He even said after, he goes, really good considering I couldn't bench 40 kilos, when he started 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, he said it was 4 years between PBs for him.
Yeah.
So.
And I think like it's...
That's a really good example of summing up what we've just spoken about.
100%. Like for Aaron Vella, like if you look at his physique, you look at how long he's trained for. Of course, you would expect him to bench more, but the fact that he still rocks up every week and puts in the same effort as someone who can waltz their way into a 120 bench, a 130 bench, like that is exactly what this is all about. He knows unfortunately, he'll probably never be the best bencher, but despite that, he still shows up because it's still a worthwhile experience and it's still a worthwhile process. And I'm sure one day if you could bench 100 kilos, you'd be stoked, and that would mean so much to him. It's not about the objective outcome; it's about the fucking journey, like
Process.
Journey there. The
Shouts out Aaron Valla. What did he deadlift?
He finished with 190.
Mate.
So we had actually he's done over 200. He's done 202 and a half before at push pull run. But the 190 moves really, really well, like fast. Like could have been literally an open up, but again, his back just got some sensation there with it. So he was fine with that. We went conservative because of the back. He didn't want to really.
You don't want to hurt himself.
Yeah, that was the crux. So, but again, 190 could have been an open, and he probably could have gone. The strength was there.
Yeah.
Didn't he pull 210 at push pull run?
Was it 210 or 202?
No, it was 202.
It was definitely.
I think he's pulled 210 maybe in the gym.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 205.
So a little bit
something
under, a little bit under his current, but that's why he wants to do another one. But again, he
turned those stones over.
Turn those hedonic stones. Now JVB, Jordan Van Buren, squatted 165, which was a little PR there as well. So I was happy with that. Chipped away. Bench just didn't. He was like, trust me. No. Now I've got some context here. One of the novice comps, I was like, there's no way you're going to bench that. And he goes, trust me. And he put it on and he benched it. He's a very slow lifter. It's actually really slow. It's really hard to tell because his second looks like there's not much more, but there will be another
There's always a little bit extra.
There's always another 5 kilos.
Don't count him out.
So he got 105 and then
But not this time. He didn't have it this time. Not this time.
Was it 107, 110? But anyway, the third just, wasn't there. Wasn't there this time. And then he ended up deadlifting 185, which was also a PR. So he got a squat PR and a deadlift PR.
Shouts out JVB.
Trent was the same.
Are all his lifts slow or just bench?
Yeah, he's a slower lifter.
Yeah.
It's like
a bit of a Charlie.
Things just look slow.
Yeah.
Even like when they're openers and seconds. You'd be like me. Trent Kennedy, squat 197.5, 5 kilo PR. He was stoked with that. Bench, again, we've got 120, which was equal. No, he's done 122.5 before. We failed. So we got that on the second, then failed the third. His right arm just wouldn't. He locked to the left. His right arm was just lagging.
There's nothing to give.
So with that, I'm going to go back to the drawing board with his bench. We're going to increase frequency, increase volume, build the muscles up, the chest, tries, delts, all those muscles.
Time to get jacked.
Pretty much. So that'll be a 6-month project, and we will get that bench PR, get him up to 127, 130.
Mate.
And then he did do run for the kids the week before as well, 14K.
Oh, shouts out.
Let's
Sunday.
go.
And then he deadlifted 215, which was again a 5 kilo PR. So he was really happy. Squat PR, deadlift PR, just the bench. But he did say if I got 120 for the bench, because he felt like his bench had been a bit just taking a hit. It's just one of those patches. So he said if I did get 120, he'd be happy. So he got that, overall good day.
Shouts out.
Mate.
Pretty quick day, pretty efficient.
We love that. We love efficient comp.
I don't know. I actually don't know if it's also though because the week before I was just coaching Michael. When you coach one person, it's quite slow.
Yeah,
There's a lot of waiting around.
Because I had 3, it was a bit more
Bang, bang, bang.
bang, bang,
Got
bang,
inception
bang.
on your feet.
I actually think that maybe my perception of it. Going,
100%. I've had lifters with one comp. It feels like a long day, even though comps with one lifter, not lifters with one comp. Comps with one lifter, it feels long.
Comps with one lifter, just because there's a lot of waiting.
Yeah,
standing around waiting. Whereas with the 3, it's a bit more fast paced. But yeah,
nice. Shouts out. Congratulations,
Also,
team.
shouts out Marabin's favourite son, Brendan Maney, successfully became a ref at JPS. There's one more ref
money.
round. So we've got Deuce, we've got Brendan.
We love that.
We need one more to complete the Holy Trinity.
The
Holy Trinity.
Yeah, he was good.
Shouts out, Brendan. Shouts out the lifters and congratulations on all the PBs. We will wrap it up here. Thank you very much for listening. If you do want some help with your own training, maybe looking to get into powerlifting, push yourself a bit more, some of the hybrid stuff, we are here to help. You can find out more information down in the description of this episode or on the website, or you can send the main page on Instagram a DM. We'd be happy to chat. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Also, happy Easter. Ciao.
See you later.